Personally, I think it's better to have success than not. It was quite obvious, you know, once they were on the show, they were going to be really, really successful with the right records. I mean, they just, for me, they were like the perfect group. I said to them, don't ever complain about paparazzi because they are going to take your pictures. Don't complain about invasion of privacy because people are going to always want a picture taken with you. Don't complain about the long hours because there are going to be long hours. If any of this is a problem, just do something else. I promise you, all of this is going to come with it. There'll be times where you're going to go, my God, this is a grueling schedule. Oh my God, can't someone just leave me alone for 1 minute because I want to have my dinner? Why are you taking my picture? That is going to come with the territory. And the truth is, it's worth it. It just comes with it. It's hard work. You are going to become well known and you are going to lose a lot of your privacy. If you want to be an accountant, you're not going to have any of those issues. It just won't be as much fun.
Hey guys, so back tonight. Just wanted to say I've seen a picture and a few videos from Liam's funeral yesterday, unfortunately. More than what I'd seen this morning when I spoke to you. But I wanted to say that there's a lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook and probably in the general public who right now feel sorry for Simon Cowell. So I have come on because, like, that's shit. Like, why would you feel sorry for somebody who abused the person whose funeral they went to? Why would you feel sorry for somebody who put someone through so much misery? Yes, he gave them a start. Yes, their careers took off, but that was because of their talent and their hard work. Like, they boys worked 21 hours a day. Like, 340 days of the year. They recorded while touring, while promoting, while making videos. They never had any time off. They were isolated in hotel rooms, locked in their rooms, told they weren't allowed to leave. They barely got time to eat, and they would eat on stage or in interviews because that was the only time in the day that they could eat. They were shuttled from one place to the next. Their families didn't know where they were going. They barely got to speak to their families. They never got to go home for events. So birthdays, funerals, like big important events in people's lives, they missed. And that was down to Simon Cowell because he was their label boss. Yes, he was under Sony, but the boys were under One Direction were actually under Psycho Music. And he was so abusive that eventually Little Mix actually left his label. So, you know, when people say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, no, we actually do know what we're talking about. When we talk about Simon Cowell being abusive, there is evidence, mountains and mountains of evidence. People have come out after the X Factor and said that he would work them to the bone, that he wouldn't give them time off when they were sick. Rebecca Ferguson collapsed 3 times in one day and was given a can of Coke and told to get on with things. Katie Waso reported her sexual assault to Simon Cowell, and the person who was still there still worked for the company for years after this until 2019 when they did it to someone else. Katie spoke about this multiple times and the trauma that she went through and had to suffer And Simon knew all about it and did nothing about it. So, you know, when we say Simon is a monster, we're not just saying it just for fun or just because we want to hate someone. We're saying it because we actually know let's look at the X Factor. The contracts that the One Direction boys signed while they were on the X Factor are still in effect to this day. This is almost 15 years later, and those single contracts that they signed are still in effect. Every contract they have signed subsequently has to honour that original contract. There are additional terms and conditions which have been added on. There were cleanliness clauses added in to the One Direction boys' contracts. No other act in the X Factor had cleanliness clauses. Why was there cleanliness clauses in the One Direction contracts, and what were the cleanliness clauses? What were the clauses? Because the abuse they boys went through and the trauma that was inflicted on them, the fact that Niall needed a knee operation and he didn't get it, the fact that Niall's mic was getting turned off while he was on stage, the fact that Louis ended up with sleep paralysis because of the few hours that he got sleep, the fact that Harry ended up with major anxiety, the fact that Liam ended up with an alcohol addiction and is now dead, the fact that Zayn ended up with an eating disorder and had to leave the band for his own mental health. Simon is responsible for all of that. All of it. He was their boss. And he let that happen under his watch. So don't come at me and tell me I should feel sorry for Simon. And oh my God, who on earth goes to grieving parents who are burying their child and cries at them and gets them to comfort him? Who does that? They were burying their own son. And he went and cried in their faces to make them feel bad for him when he was responsible for all of that abuse. What a narcissistic person. I could say other words and I'm trying very hard to watch my language. But, you know, there are so many people out there who deserve your sympathy. Simon Cowell is not one of them. Liam's family, Liam's mother, oh my God, poor Karen, my heart. And Jeff just looked empty. Like, he looked beyond, like, yeah. Harry, oh my God. And Louis, my heart. Zayn looked like he was carrying the whole weight of the world on his shoulders, and Niall, seeing Niall crying in a picture will stay with me for the rest of my life. And Simon Cowell, that is your fault. You might not be directly responsible for what happened to Liam, but you played a massive part in this. And 2 months ago, you said the biggest regret you ever had was that you didn't own One Direction's name. So yes, Liam's death is partly on you. You wanted to exploit them more. You didn't care about the abuse you put them through. You didn't care about the trauma you inflicted on 5 teenage boys. All you cared about was the fact you didn't own their name and you couldn't exploit them anymore. So don't ever come at me and tell me that I should feel sorry for Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell deserves to rot in hell for what he's done to those boys, and he deserves to pay. And honestly, we need to work together to make this happen, because he doesn't deserve our sympathy. He deserves to go to jail for what he's done. He deserves to be put on trial for exploitation, for abusive contracts, for overworking, for abuse, neglect, you name it. He should be on trial for it, because he is responsible for all of that stuff. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. And, you know, please take care of each other, because it is a really difficult time. And I'll speak to you soon.